give your heart and soul. Run lads, shoot lads, give us all a go. Run lads, shoot lads, you can do it yet. Come on Newport County, oh, bang it in the net.
Hello everybody and welcome to Taff's Word. This one, as you will have just seen, is titled as pre-season. So what I'm going to do now is pretty much round up the pre-season, give my thoughts and opinions on it, and look forward to the season ahead, where the big kick-off is coming up away versus Oldham on this coming Saturday. So, pre-season, we basically had 5 official friendly matches, one sort of unofficial behind closed doors match apparently against Swansea, which would mean that we played against them twice, which we lost. Just thought I'd mention that, but I'm going to go into the actual games in a little bit more detail shortly. We were also entered into the Welsh League Cup, or the Nathaniel MG Cup as it's known, where we played away at Llanelli. But we're going to start off with the annual Undy game. So we won there 5-1. Now, these Undy games aren't usually one-sided like this, you know. I mean, we very rarely play any first-teamers. The only time we do ever really play any first-teamers in these games is if they're very new and got a bit of a point to prove before they can get into the team. Any sort of youth players that are sort of on the cusp of the first team, we would usually play them as well. And obviously there would be an absolute bunch of trialists. So trialists have factored a lot more within our pre-season than what they usually would do. I know Flynn doesn't usually like signing trialists. I think the last time we really signed a proper trialist, an actual trialist, other than Kevin Ellison, obviously, but I think everyone knew that we were going to sign him in the end, was Marlon Jackson. So let's delve into it. So 3 goals against Undy in the 5-1 were scored by trialists. Now, I know that was mainly down to having the likes of Jordan Greenidge and Alex Fisher playing. And Iron Livermore and Ryan Hillier were the other scorers, but I'm going to get into the youth players a little bit further down into the stream. So yeah, a 5-1 win against Undy, but it doesn't really give you any significance, you know, looking at just that game. Losing 4-0 against Swansea in a behind closed doors friendly, like I said, we can't really delve much into that because I didn't really have the chance of watching those games. Now the next 3, which were the final 3 games, I actually did watch. I went to Chippenham and I went to Cinderford, and I paid £3 to watch Cardiff on the TV, well, the laptop via, you know, my HDMI cable onto the TV. So we won 2-1 at Chippenham, and 2 trialists scored goals for us in those games. Now, I'm not quite sure who the trialist was who scored the second goal there, but Jordan Greenidge scored against Chippenham, as he did against Cinderford, you know, with tap-ins, but, you know, tap-ins are goals basically given to you on the fact of being in the right place at the right time. Well, when you score a tap-in, you've got to get there. You've got to be there. You've got to have the right sort of attacking awareness to be in those positions to score on a regular basis. He scored 2 in 2 by being in the right place at the right time, causing a lot of problems with his strength and at times with his pace as well. So I'm going to get into Jordan Greenidge a little bit further along. So yeah, we won 2-1 at Chippenham. It was a reasonable performance. First half was far better than the second. I think it's because we had more first teamers playing in that game. Cinderford 6-1, it was a one-sided affair, and the Cinderford goal was an absolute world. He probably scored from about 45 yards out. Catching young keeper Ovendale off his line. So yeah, 6-1. I mean, we got goals in that one from Clark, Farquharson, or Farquharson. I don't know how you pronounce his name, Charlie. You've done me in, mate. Padraig got a goal there, and 3 trialists. One of them being Topi Obadeji. Obadeji. I can't pronounce these names that well, sorry. But Topi Obadeji, he's an ex-Bolton player who was on loan at Swindon. The reason I was on loan at Swindon because Henry, who you would have seen on this channel, filled me in on him. Yeah, so he scored 2 of those goals at Cinderford and actually looked really sharp. I actually felt, because he played against Chippenham as well, he looked sharp. But I'm going to come back to him a little bit later on. We then played Cardiff and lost 2-0. It was a tough game. but I feel as though the players would have got a lot out of it. That was the game where we were really going to see the kind of play we were gonna be used to watching every week. They moved the ball around particularly well, I thought. We kept possession well, and when we were patient enough to break Cardiff down, when we had the right players on the pitch, we did it quite well. What people need to remember is that we mixed the team up throughout the game quite rapidly, and we still only conceded 2 goals against a strong Cardiff team who didn't make anywhere near as many changes as we did. So we basically played 2 different 11s, just that they came on in staggered baits of substitutions. So for me, I felt we did well against Cardiff, and I feel as though the trialists did well in that game. Although Alex Fisher was still there, and Greenidge is still there, there was no sign of Obadei. So I'm going to talk about Obadei, like I said, a little bit further on. But for me, 6 games unofficially, 7 if you include the Nathaniel MG Cup. The less said about that, the better. It was an opportunity for the youngsters to shine. They didn't manage to grasp it. They were bullied into losing 5-0. Not that I'm overly bothered about that. I think a couple of the usual suspects on the county chat had a bit of a poke about it. Personally, I don't care. So we're not going to gain anything. It was entering the competition merely to give our youngsters an opportunity to play against men. So for me, I think the pre-season in itself was a bit light. We could have done with another game or 2. That's the thing. With Cardiff, I always felt we were very nearly getting there with some of the good, sort of exposing balls we were trying to play. And I feel as though another couple of games, another game or 2, would have meant that before the big kick-off now, we'd have been a lot closer, a lot sharper, a lot more practiced, and a lot more drilled with actually achieving what you could see what we were trying to do. And if we can achieve that this season, I think we're going to have a very successful season again. This time we could go one better. So, right, so yeah, that's me as the pre-season as a whole with the games that we played. Now I'm going to go on with some of the standout individuals. Now these standout individuals aren't, I'm bringing them up for a lot of different reasons. It's not that they stand out 100% because it's been positive. So I'm going to go through some positive standouts to start with, and I think you'll sort of figure out why they're standouts as we go through them. So Christopher Missalou, I thought was excellent in the games I saw him in. Very energetic, very strong, very good at winning the ball in the centre of midfield. I think Missalou will very much be the replacement for Labardi. Missalou as well was good at playing the ball around. So I think, yeah, he's a bit of a complete midfielder. He's going to add an awful lot of dynamic energy and strength in that midfield. Priestley Farquharson was a positive for me in the time, the games that I saw him in. I thought he looked very solid at the back, very good with the ball at his feet still. Looked like he'd improved from last season, and I rated him last season. I rate him a lot more now. Jermaine Hilton looks a hell of a winger. Really quick, really good with the ball at his feet, and really gets himself involved in the attacking play. So I really look forward to seeing him, particularly this season. I think he's got to be a nailed-on starter with the performances he's given. Joe Day has come back and made some fantastic saves in some of the friendlies, especially against Cardiff. I would always put Day above King and Townsend. I'm a big fan of Townsend. I was a big fan of King. It was a great position to be in, to have 2 great keepers to choose from. For me, Day is just an extra step up in quality, and shot stopping alone, I think he's going to save us between 5 and 10 points on his own just by being there. Possibly even more than that. You could make an argument and say the fact that we got Joe Day there, he will save us 10 points through the season. So I'm really looking forward to see him back in the sticks in a county shirt, in the first team again when the competition starts. Lewis Hall was a trialist, 22 years of age. As I say, he was a trialist. He impressed me a lot at Chippenham. He also played at Cinderford and done well, and I think that's what basically got him his contract. Very much looking forward to seeing what he brings this season. I don't think he'll get a starting spot. I think because he's a left back, he'll be behind Ryan Haynes in the pecking order. But like I said, I really look forward to seeing what he brings. The same can be said for the next one now. This is an academy graduate. I don't even know if he's a graduate, to be honest with you. I don't even think he signed a pro contract with us yet, and that's an Iron Livermore. Now, it may have only been Cinderford, but I thought he was phenomenal. He's only a youngster. I'm sure he's only 16, I believe. 16 or 17, very young, and very lively with the ball at his feet, very good at picking passes. You could tell that he's got some vision in his game. So, an Iron Livermore, watch this space. I think he could be a hell of a player for us in the future. I'd very much like to see him factor, especially like the Johnson's Paint Trophy games. I'd definitely like to see him factor in those games just to see what else he's got, when he's playing up against some better players. I thought Joe Woodowis, I've seen him play in the Chippenham and Cinderford games. I thought he was excellent. There's been a lot of good talk regarding Woodowis, and I'm really pleased that we've still got him. He could have quite easily been part of the cull when the youngsters went at the beginning of COVID. Thankfully he wasn't, and it's looking good with him, to be honest with you. Dom Jeffries going to Brentford, for example. The last thing we want to do is lose any promising players now. If Dom Jeffries is a potential promising Premier League player, then we've missed a trick with him. But thankfully Joe Woodowis, I think he could well be at that level. And he's still a Newport County player, and he looked really good in the pre-season. Now I've got to make sure I say the name correctly. Cara Dogan. Now, he was playing on the right-hand side, possibly as a right-back, in the Cinderford game. And he put in a fantastic ball into the box to set up Jordan Greenidge for what I think was the third goal or the fourth goal of the game. And it was a phenomenal ball. And he seems that kind of player that looks dangerous. Very much like Trent Alexander-Arnold at Liverpool. Not saying he's at that level, obviously not. But the kind of play, the kind of forward play, being able to run the ball forward and put a quality ball into the box from a fullback position, I think he could be another good one for the future. So Livermore, Woodowis, Cara Dogan, I hope I said that right. Very much future prospects, 100%. Obviously, there's Kevin Ellison. Now, Kevin Ellison, for me, he's 42, 43, can still play at the top, not the top level, but he can still play at Football League level. He's still good enough to be a professional footballer. And apparently he's going to be doing some coaching, which I'm really, really pleased with, because I speak to people in and around the club, and no one can overstate the kind of impact Kevin Ellison has on the squad, for morale, for bringing people together, keeping things fun and funny and interesting, So, I'm really glad that he's staying around. Plus, he can do a job for us on the pitch. He scored 3 goals for us last season. How important were those goals? We sealed a very unlikely away win at Morecambe with a goal from him. He scored a last-minute winner to beat Port Vale at home. And, of course, he scored the first of our 4 goals that we got at Forest Green. So, no, it was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Not 4 goals, 3 goals, But, Kerry Ellison, I'm just glad he's with us for another season. Timmy Abraham, I think, is going to be a big player for us. Now, one thing I've noticed is that we're looking like we're going to be playing a front 3, and we're going to be putting pace into the team, like with Hilton, like with Abraham, and unfortunately Courtney Senior. I'll talk about him a little bit later. But, we have got players with pace, who can play on an inside forward or wing position, either side of a central striker. So, for me, Timmy Abraham, I saw him play against Cinderford, and also, obviously, he played the second half against Cardiff, and his pace, his footwork at Cinderford was better than it looked at Cardiff. I don't think he had much of an opportunity to do his best in that game. But I'll tell you something now, watch this space. I think he's going to bring something excellent to the team. Finn Azaz, I've only seen him for 45 minutes, but there's been a lot of talk about him. So he's got that potential, obviously, because Aston Villa have bought him from West Brom. They've sent him straight out on loan to us, so thank you for that. He won promotion with Charlton Town. He won the title even with Charlton Town last season. People say he could work on his finishing. Well, if we got 3 forwards and he's in the midfield, you know, I don't really need him to have his finishing. If he could chip in with goals from time to time, great. But as long as he's setting up those forwards, I don't mind. I don't mind. So Finazaz, I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to bring to us when the heat is on, when the competition gets fierce. Cameron Norman has come in as a replacement for Liam Shepherd. I think my feeling is that Flynn knew he was losing Liam Shepherd, so he had to prioritise his position. I think he was hopeful of keeping some of the other players. I think we always knew Josh Sheehan was going to go, but like Labardi, I do feel he thought Labardi was going to stay, which is possibly why the Missalou transfer happened. But Cameron Norman, he looks like a hell of a player. Will he be an upgrade on Liam Shepherd? We'll soon find out. It'll be a tall order for him to be. But the one thing Liam Shepherd lacked was the ability to put a decent ball into the box on a consistent basis. Cameron Norman has put a lot of really good balls into the box from the right wing-back position. And if he can be consistent with that throughout the season, maybe he could be an upgrade on Liam Shepherd. We'll see. So the next 2 players I'm going to mention are trialists. So Jordan Greenidge and Toby Obadei. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. So Jordan Greenidge for me is a machine. He's a monster. He's an absolute beast. There's nothing else to say about it. He's very much the Lukaku type striker. Big, strong and quick. People can't touch him. So you can imagine he'd be a bit like having an Akinfenwa with pace, basically. He can get himself into the right areas to score goals. We've seen that in pre-season. There's no word on whether we're signing him yet, although his name was on his jersey yesterday when we played against Cardiff. So that's a potential sign, but Alex Fisher's was also. For me, it's an either-or, and again, for me, it's got to be Greenidge. But the only thing that would prevent us from announcing a signing for now could be, are they at loggerheads discussing a wage packet? We'll have to wait and see, but I'd love to see that we've signed Greenidge before the end of the week so he can be a part of the squad for Oldham. Equally, I'd like to see us sign Obadei if we've got the budget, of course. Now, he looked excellent. He looked really, really sharp, really quick, really good with the ball at his feet, good passing, good shooting. Obviously, we've seen him score some goals this pre-season as a trialist. Is he going to be a good player for us? I have no doubt about it. Have we got the budget for him? Possibly not. Maybe we may have done all our budget in because we have got a quite large squad now, but we've still got loan options. So will he miss out narrowly because of that possibility of being able to loan a player who could be similar to him, maybe a bit younger, you know, with a bit more potential, someone who's going to be hungry to come in and do a job for us so they can go back to their parent club and stand a chance of getting into their first team? I don't know, but personally, if we have got the budget, I would like to see us sign him. I'm ending the standouts on a disappointment now. Not a disappointment in his performances. Unfortunately, we've not been able to see him. Courtney Senior. There's been a lot of rumour mongering going along regarding his fitness. There's been a lot of alleged chatter regarding his ACL. People saying he's out for the season, people saying he's out for a couple of weeks, people saying he's out for 6 months. No one can seem to make their minds up how long he's out for. For me, even though it wasn't really communicated by the club, or it wasn't really, how can I put it, put in a detailed way by Flinney when he was interviewed yesterday, all signals point to the fact that Senior has in fact done his ACL and is going to be out for quite some time. I mean, it's not positive, but the only silver lining is that he's young enough to bounce back from it and still do a job for us later in the future. But it sets us back massively because he was going to be one of the first choice players, I'm certain. Possibly the Timmy Abraham loan was brought about because of his injury, maybe. Or Obadei may sign because of his injury on a 1-year contract. Maybe, we don't know. But we'll see what happens. But that's my standouts for the pre-season. Captain is the one thing. We haven't actually been given anything official on who the captain is. So, there's 4 shapes for me. Mickey Demetriou, who started the Cardiff game as captain. Upson, I believe, captained the team. He started off as captain against Chippenham. Matt Dolan has filled in as captain last season and through the pre-season. And, of course, Clark as he was captain at Walsall last season. So there's 4 shapes there. I like the fact that there's 4 leaders in that mix who will be in our team. There are leaders in our squad, which is a great thing. If it was up to me, I'd go with Demetriou, because I think he's been with the club longer than any of them there. So he understands the club, he understands the manager and what he wants. And I believe he is a voice on the pitch. So yeah, I would choose Demetriou, but any one of those 4 could be good candidates for it. Demetriou with Dolan as vice would be a good shite, although I think Upson and Clark would be disappointed if either one of them didn't at least get a shite at vice captain. So it's a good situation to be in, really, when you've got 4 people to choose from, 4 really strong contenders to be a captain for the team. It's great. Now it's getting on to the type of play that we're going to play, the kind of formation that we're going to play. Personally, I think we're going to be playing a 3-4-3 type formation. I had initially thought it could be a 4-3-3, but I think we're so heavy at wing-back players, we're going to be playing wing-backs. We've got enough central defenders to cover the central defensive area. So this is how I think it's going to go for the starting 11 versus Oldham. So Joe Day will be goalkeeper. I'm quite certain he's going to be our number 1. Townsend would have got his run out yesterday, coming back from an injury, so we can get a bit of match fitness, basically. I think the back 3 for me will consist of Farquharson, Dolan and Demetriou. Dolan obviously filling in at that, playmaking centre-back position that Flynn created for him last season and was very successful, and Dolan winning Player of the Year from that position. Dolan's got to be one of the first names on the team sheet, considering that. So Farquharson, Dolan, Demetriou starting, although Clark will be disappointed to miss out, and Woodowis even, but that's just the way of it. We haven't seen much of Aaron Lewis lately, so I hope that he's fit. Apparently he didn't play as precaution against Cardiff and that he's okay, in which case he slots in at right wing back for me. Equally with Haynes on the left. I think Haynes is a phenomenal player. I was absolutely delighted. Well, when both of them, we got word that they'd signed their contracts, absolutely over the moon with both of them. And I think they're both going to play key parts in a successful season for us this year. So it basically leaves us with 2 central midfielders. Although I do think the wing type players will come back a little bit, and help in the build-up play as well as getting forward. So Missalou for me has to get in that area. I personally think that him and Dolan will be sort of the first line of defence against a counter-attack, and Farquharson and Demetriou will be there in the centre to mop up. Alongside Missalou would be Finn Azaz as an attacking midfielder. I think it'd be good to have a player on the right side of our attack, where we had Josh Sheehan coming from deep a little bit too often last season. It'd be good to see someone like Finn Azaz leading the midfield from an advanced position. So then that leaves us with the forward players now. Timmy Abraham on the right, Jermaine Hilton on the left will provide a lot of pace and basically will keep Oldham guessing in the game. They're going to keep their backs to the wall. They're not going to be able to get forward too much because those players will terrorise them with their pace if they leave themselves open at the back. And then the perfect forward in the middle, the last player that I'm choosing, and that is on the condition that we sign him, and that would be Jordan Greenidge, because I think that he will absolutely destroy League 2 defences next season. So I think we've got to sign the guy. We do have to. So yeah, let's hope Greenidge signing gets over the line. So my bench then for the Oldham game would be Townsend, Clark, Upson, Norman, Collins, Baker Richardson and Ellison. I know that leaves some players out, like Robbie Wilmot for example, but like I say, you can only choose an 11 on the pitch and a 7 on the bench, and that's how I'd like to go. Not to say that that's how we should be playing all season. As I say, players like Wilmot, you know, and the rest of them, they're gonna have, you know, they're gonna have parts to play. But then what I'm gonna end this on now is obviously we signed 3 of our academy players before we really started getting out there and getting some signings over the line. Now there's a lot of promise around a particular one. Now, I know Ryan Hillier has been on the bench a few times, or he would have played in a couple of games, like the Llanelli one. I think he played a bit at Chippenham. The one player who I've been disappointed not to see at all this pre-season, not saying he hasn't figured at all, I haven't seen him personally, is Lewis Twomley. There's an awful lot of, you know, promise around him, you know, a lot of anticipation on how he's going to be in our team. Now, he's scoring goals for the academy last season, so you'd be thinking, yeah, he's going to be a forward player, possibly a winger. He is a small lad, you might think there's some pace in him. But so I would have liked to have seen him a little bit more this pre-season, whether he's been injured or not, whether it's news that I haven't picked up, apologies. But I'd have liked to have seen him. But to round up, yeah, pre-season, I mean, it was a successful one with the results. I mean, we won 3 games, and the only games we really lost were against championship clubs. And for me, it could have been another game or 2, but I do think that we are in a strong position going into the season. I just feel though a couple more games, or at least just one more game, may have put us in a stronger one. But I said, the more pre-season games you have, the more you run the risk of injuries. So yeah, you've got to get the right balance with your pre-season. But like I said, my starting 11, that is exactly how I would play it. I mean, it's not the formation I would have gone for, but I do understand where Flynn's coming from. It is a formation used. It's pretty much the same one as what England used in the Euros, to be honest with you. You know, the 3-4-3. The wing-backs being seen more as a midfielder than a defender. 3 at the back. It'll work for us, I think. I think we've got a very strong defence. We've got very strong reinforcements that come in. If any of them pick up any injuries, I think if Dolan stays injury-free, you'll have another great season playing in that same position. And I think, yeah, having Joe Day in the sticks, like I said, is going to win us a few more points. Possibly the points that could have seen us get automatic promotion last season. That's not a dig at any of our keepers from last season, of course not. I think Joe Day just comes with that extra bit of quality, that extra shot-stopping ability where, you know, in a couple of games where Townsend and King may have been beaten in ways that people may have thought, yeah, you know, possibly could have saved that if they'd have been a little bit better with their shot-stopping. Joe Day could possibly make those saves that could prevent the team from equalising or from getting the lead against us in certain games. So we'll have to wait and see on that, but I think, you know, everything pretty much speaks for itself. We'll have plenty of danger for clubs with the wing backs. Lewis and Haynes will provide an awful lot of strong play from wide. I think when they get forward, the likes of Hilton and Abraham, as I've got them as left and right wingers, will find their way into the centre. And I think Azaz is going to find his way in the centre. I think we're going to be looking forward to some very attacking football next season. I think Flynn has got his defence about right now. It's been at the detriment to his earlier attacking abilities, but I think he may have a system that will work for us now. So I've even got County as an automatic promotion shout on my annual, you know, how the season will pan out bet. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the season. I haven't got my Oldham tickets yet, but I'm going to find a way of getting them because there's no way I'm going to miss that. Can't wait to go on an away day, be the first one for a year and a half. And yeah, I've missed them. You'll be looking forward to a Taff en route as well, you know, something I haven't done for ages and all. So keep your eyes peeled for that. There's a lot more coming through on this channel in the very near future. I mean, Amber Talk is going to be making its return to its original status. So you can look forward to that kind of stuff, you know, that kind of content. We will be having match reviews and previews from Phil and Ollie respectively, as they did last season. They will be giving us their thoughts, but we will be taking the collective thoughts of fans on Amber Talk as well. Plus, you'll be seeing the atmospheric videos as they used to be uploaded individually as well, you know, as and when I can catch them. So, yeah. Big things on the channel. Make sure you check us out on TikTok as well. We've got a TikTok channel that's starting to take off. You know, as I say, different type of video on there, but I'm sure you'll have a look and you'll enjoy. you know, we've taken some snippets from this channel, so you know, it might bring back some good memories. So go on there and check it out. So yeah, thank you very much all. Cheers for now, and as always, up the county. Cheerio, guys.